talk a little bit about what's going on in, we're going to shift gears here just for a moment. Talk a little bit about what's going on in City Hall. What kind of votes are taking place? What kind of issues? Is there a progressive coalition? I know one thing that came up that you were involved with, and there was some kind of vote, was the city had started to take away the traditional way that the streets are swept. How about sharing some pertinent information about what's going on downtown in the halls of justice?
There is a lot going on right now, you mentioned an issue that was really quite a hot topic this week at City Hall, and that's the issue of street sweeping. One of the most basic city service issues and one of the most important functions that an alderman does
is
making
until
sure
every spring when we get our streets cleaned again.
Making sure that the streets are swept and the garbage are picked up. Those are the absolute core functions of every alderman. And there was a proposal put forward by the Daley administration to basically take away the street sweepers from each of the 50 wards and put this street sweeping on a grid pattern. They claimed it was cost efficiency, but our challenge was efficiency at what price? What it would have done in the 49th ward, it would have basically decreased the amount of frequency with which the streets are being swept. Right now, we sweep the streets about once every month. Every street gets swept once every month, and we have a schedule throughout the ward where the sweep will be each day, so that throughout a month, every street on every block will be swept. Under this proposal by the Daley administration, it would have taken us about 7 to 8 weeks to sweep the streets, because we would no longer have control of the street sweeper. We would no longer have been able to do special service needs. For example, if there's an auto accident at the intersection of Toohey and Sheridan, now I can have the street sweeper come over, clean up the glass. If there's a block party taking place, we can have the sweeper come by the Friday before the block party and sweep the streets. Those kind of things like that would have been taken away. And as a result, people who are really burdened under all these fees and higher taxes would be getting less service as a result. So we had a very interesting coalition of aldermen, from those who are on the progressive side of things and have been traditionally independent of the mayor, and those who have always been a vote that the mayor could count on in the city council.
In the pocket.
And we said, enough is enough. And so we were able to compel the administration to come up with an alternative proposal that will enable us to maintain the street sweepers while still being able to save some dollars.
Are there any other big-time issues that there's some discussion or anything going on at City Hall?
Before we go on to those other issues, I just want to emphasize, kind of the importance of the fact that there are aldermen who were always the mayor could count on, who stood up and said, "Look, you can't do this. You didn't consult with us. You didn't run this past us and our ward superintendents. It's a horrible idea. It was not well thought out." And the bottom line is that if you look at the way city government is structured by law, we are a strong council, weak mayor form of government. But unfortunately,
who would have known?
You would never have known, because of the way that so many of my colleagues are just willing to basically do whatever the mayor asks them to do. So the fact that they're beginning to develop a backbone and a spine is a good thing for democracy in the city of Chicago.
There was a time earlier in our lives in Chicago when there was another Daley who was the mayor, and that sort of thing started to happen a little bit too toward the end of his time. Particularly coming out of the black community, people who'd been very loyal and, as I would say, in the pocket of the then mayor. They broke tradition and broke ranks. So that's it's good it's starting to happen. Maybe it's an omen.
And and I want to highlight another important initiative that I'm working on, and it is the Chicago Clean Power Ordinance. Obviously,
yes, and it's coming up.
It's coming up. I will be introducing an ordinance on April 14th that will put additional restrictions on the 2 coal-fired power plants in the city of Chicago. These are 2 ancient plants that continue to burn coal
and send power to other places. We don't use it here.
And we don't need the power here. We have more than enough power on our existing grid system, we don't need the power from those plants. So the bottom line is they're polluting our air, they're contributing to global warming, and we don't even need their power. It's, as you indicated, it's sold to other places. It's sold out east to other areas of our country. So we have an obligation as elected officials here in the city of Chicago to protect the health and welfare of our constituents. And so I am going to be working with a number of my colleagues to introduce this ordinance that would place restrictions on the amount of particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide that those plants spew into the air.
Now that's going to be you're going to introduce that on April 14th?
On April 14th, and on April 13th, we're going to have a press conference / rally on the second floor of City Hall, right outside the elevator bank there at 10 a.m. So I encourage anyone who's listening to this show who cares for the environment, as I know almost all of your listeners do, to take some time off of work, or if they aren't working that day, to come on down to City Hall at 10 o'clock and join us in support of a cleaner city and a cleaner and more healthy environment.
Joe Moore, this has been great talking to you. And I'm really looking forward to this community budgeting process. The vote is next Saturday, April 10th, and that will take place between 9 and 3.
9 and 3 p.m.
at the Chicago Math and Science Academy up there on Clark Street at the corner of Toohey and Clark. And make sure you vote. You don't have to be a citizen. You can, as long as you're 16, you get to vote. And if you're looking for more information, you want to go check out the mess hall just south of Morris on Glenwood. They have an exhibit up, and you can go to the Alderman's website, which is
ward49.com.
And then you will find the community budgeting process blog.
It's participatory budgeting.
Participatory budgeting. Okay, it's a good process. Thanks for initiating it. One last question.
Thanks for getting the word out,
How many
Michael.
people have you have contacted you from around the country about wanting more information?
I've been getting emails and calls from folks all over. The word is getting out. There's a whole participatory budgeting community out there in the United States. Folks have been working hard to try to convince some governmental body somewhere to embrace it, and they're thrilled that I'm doing it here. There's going to be my op-ed, I believe, will be on the Huffington Post Monday or Tuesday. Another effort on our part to get the word out.
All right, let's have a big round of applause for Alderman Joe Moore of the 49th Ward. Let's have a little bit of music while we bring up our next guest. You are listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7 Chicago Sound Alliance.